Hey guys, Crazy Aaron here. Welcome to another fun episode of The Crazy Aaron Show, where we take a look at all the fascinating parts of our incredible and vast world that have inspired my Thinking Putty creations. Let's get started. If you missed our last episode, go check out our video archive. We talked about pirates, pirate life, and even showed you some of our treasure surprise thinking putty inspired by all that pirate treasure. We even learned a little bit about maps and cartography. We made a sundial to track time, and we learned why it would be important to know the time if you were on a sailing ship back in the olden days. Today, I want to talk about non-Newtonian fluids. Does that sound cool? It is. But before we could talk about non-Newtonian fluids, we'd have to learn about Newtonian fluids. And before we learn about Newtonian fluids, who is this Newton guy anyway? You've probably heard of Isaac Newton. He's like a little bit famous, given that he's been dead for 400 years and completely revolutionized our world. And to describe Isaac Newton as a person, as a man, the word odd would be an understatement. Isaac Newton did not fit in. Isaac Newton didn't seem to be what people would say is maybe neurotypical, and that's importantly okay. Why? Because Isaac Newton, in all of his oddness, unlocks secrets of the universe that people hadn't discovered since the birth of civilization. So if you feel a little left out or maybe not like the rest of the pack, well, there's opportunity for you, because thinking differently is so important to pushing us ahead. You know, today, even if you're not into science per se, you think like Isaac Newton. Even if you're not into math and physics, you talk about maybe the force of a person's character, or the acceleration of something. Or maybe you talk about that, oh, I can't get off the couch. I'm stuck here with my inertia. Or, hey, that sports team, they've really got momentum for this season. All of those words, those concepts, those ideas of inertia, acceleration, momentum, forces, all of that came from Isaac Newton. And so even though you might not be into his science, you are influenced by his very ideas in the way we experience the world and our humanity. But let me tell you a little bit more about Isaac Newton. In the year 1666, Newton had returned home to the countryside to leave London. Why? Because there was a plague in London, and he needed to do a little social distancing so that he could stay safe. He was holed up for an entire year, and during that time, he didn't have any distractions. He didn't have to talk to anybody. He didn't have anybody bothering him, and he was able to do what he really loved, which was think about the universe and why it was the way it was, and whether or not math could reveal the hidden secret laws, the rules by which the universe actually worked. He was really interested in figuring out those secrets, the secrets of the universe. And so in that year that he was home alone, he was able to unlock the mysteries of not only his laws of motion, which describe the movement of the planets as much as they describe the movements of you getting off the couch, or the movements of your car, or the way a baseball flies through the air. He also investigated and began the field of optics, realizing that white light was actually all the colors combined together. Amazing that no one had sort of considered or understood that before. He created the field of calculus, a new kind of math that dealt with instantaneous moments, acceleration and stopping, etc. And on top of all of it, he went and sat under an apple tree. And what did he do? Well, boink, he got bonked on the head by an apple, and it inspired him to unlock the laws of gravitation. That is, how does the earth rotate around the sun? Why doesn't it just go flying off in any direction? It was his miracle year, truly a miracle year for one special, special individual. So in honor of Isaac Newton, let's get some thinking putty out. If you've got a red color, that would be good. I've got some Rock'em red here, but I might try making an apple out of a different color too. Let's make a little putty sculpture. I'm going to take a little piece off here just for the sort of the stem and the leaf. And I'm going to fold my apple. This is a little smaller than a regular size apple, but I used to have an apple tree in my yard growing up. It made apples about this big. We called them crab apples, and they didn't taste particularly delicious. But we're gonna sort of massage away some of these seams here, and we're gonna make an apple, and we're gonna give it a little stem. And I know technically the stem would be brown. Okay, fine, but we don't want to mix colors. And I'm gonna make a leaf, a little baby leaf for my thinking putty, and there is Isaac Newton's apple. Boom! Now I can eat it. No, I'm not going to eat it. Don't eat your thinking putty. Oy, oy, silly. So, you know, with all of these things you can do with putty, you think to yourself, Aaron, you said something about Newton, and before that you said something about Newtonian fluids, and then non-Newtonian fluids. And you're right. So thinking putty is a non-Newtonian fluid. What does that mean? A Newtonian fluid is one where when you're mixing it or pushing something through it, the force that you need to apply to move through that substance remains the same no matter what speed you're pushing through. So something like water is a Newtonian fluid. It follows the classic laws, Newton's laws of fluids and motion and forces. A non-Newtonian fluid has unexpected properties. That is, when I push a little bit through the thinking putty, it sinks right in. When I push really hard, I bounce right off. The harder I push, the more that putty solidifies and pushes back.
Of pure tungsten. It weighs almost 2.5 pounds, even though it's pretty tiny. We're going to take this putty here, and we're going to drop the tungsten onto it. Do that again. See the little tiny impression it made, but that was about it. All right, now we're going to do a time lapse.
There's other kinds of non-Newtonian fluids. Think about peanut butter. It holds together like a gel, but scooping it really isn't particularly hard. So in non-Newtonian fluids, there's another division between what we call shear thinning fluids and shear thickening fluids. A shear thinning fluid, like peanut butter, it just sort of, it holds itself together like a gel, but once you start to push through it, it actually thins. It gets easier to move through the faster and faster you go. A shear thickening fluid, like our putty, becomes harder and harder the faster you try to mix it. And that comes into play over in the putty factory when we're trying to mix thinking putty. If we try to mix it too fast, it turns into a solid brick that could snap a metal shaft of hardened steel this thick. But if we mix it at the correct speed, we can stretch it just like this and mix with ease, using a lot less energy, even though it takes longer to mix it slower. Pretty interesting, pretty unusual. All of this speaks to the different states of matter. Everyday materials, well, you know about ice, that's a solid. You know about liquid water, that's a liquid. You know about steam, that's a gas. There's one more, which is called plasma. And plasma would be if we kept heating that steam until the hydrogen and the oxygen actually separated, And then once that happened, we kept heating it and heating it, giving it more and more energy until we actually rip the electrons off of the hydrogen and oxygen atoms. And once we do that, we have created a plasma. There aren't a lot of plasmas on Earth. Even sort of a normal campfire isn't quite plasma. But the sun is plasma. And lightning is plasma. There's different ways of achieving a plasma. Can you think of another plasma that we might find normally on our Earth? If you can, I would love to see it in the comments. Post it up there. Show me how much you know about the different states of matter. Why do the states of matter matter? Well, for a shear thickening fluid like Thinking Putty, it can behave like a liquid, and it can also behave like a solid, depending on the forces that are applied to it. So if I take this putty and I leave it on the table, it will flow out like a liquid. But if I bang on it with a hammer, it won't even make a dent, like a hard solid. This is a unique material taking on the properties of two different states of matter at once. Can you think of some others? If so, post it in the comments. Maybe you'll even come up with one that I haven't thought of yet. That would be awesome. So if you enjoyed this video, why not share it with some friends? Post at Thinking Putty, hashtag Thinking Putty. Get everybody in on the Crazy Aaron game. And if you need some new Thinking Putty for yourself, maybe one of our amazing new colors like Ghost Riders, well, go to our website, puttyworld.com, amazon.com, or the best idea of all, support your local specialty toy store by heading on down and getting some Thinking Putty from them. I'm sure they even have curbside pickup to make your life easy. So let's read a letter. Let's see what we have here. I have a letter here from Emily. And Emily, you must have been a Crazy Aaron fan before, because you actually included a Crazy Aaron sticker on your envelope. Isn't that exciting? Oh, you went to work here. Emily, look, this is going to be a real gift. Hello, Crazy Aaron. My name is Emily. I collect all your putty. I've lost count. I love all the new putties. Thank you. I have an idea. You should come out with more eyes and maybe even arms and noses. What do you guys think? Would that be cool? I might have a secret plan for eyes, but arms and noses? I don't know if I've gotten that far yet. I watch your live every day. I hope to see you soon. P.S. You are so cool. Well, thank you, Emily. I appreciate that. And you even printed out from our website and you made me a Christmas Crazy Aaron wreath. So when it comes time for our Christmas decorations here at Putty World, this is going right up in my office. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, if you'd like to send in a letter and receive a personal reply from me, Crazy Aaron, write to Crazy Aaron, 700 East Main Street, Norristown, PA, 19401. Well, with that said, I'd love to see your comments, thoughts about the state of matter, the history of discovering the laws of motion of Isaac Newton, a very odd but interesting, fascinating genius who changed our world. And until then, I will see you later. Bye-bye.